In this video, we are looking at a very special family of shapes, and they are called the quadrilaterals. This is a flashcard. Quadrilateral. This is a big word, and I don't know what just happened there. I must have rested my hand on the screen. Sorry. Quadrilateral. Quad, the prefix quad means four. Lateral means side. If you watch football, a lateral pass is one that instead of going downfield, it goes to the side. So a quadrilateral is a shape with four sides. So to be in the quadrilateral family, a shape must have four sides. And I want to start with this one. We all know this one. This is a square. All of the sides are exactly the same. This is called a side. You have four right angles. Those lines are perpendicular, meaning they come together at right angles. Let me get a different pen. That's a little bit hard to read. Perpendicular. And that's not easy to read, so let me adjust my pen here. Sorry. I should have done this beforehand. Let's try this one. There we go. Perpendicular means that they intersect at 90-degree angles. That is a vocabulary word. This is called a square. A square is a quadrilateral with equal sides. So perfect squares are not as common as rectangles. Perpendicular. Okay, let's look at the rectangle. A rectangle has four sides, so it's a quadrilateral. It has the four right angles, meaning it is not leaning. It is straight up, perpendicular. You have this side being parallel to this side. Parallel is a vocabulary word. Those lines are an equal distance apart. They will never touch. And then you have this side being parallel to this side. Remember, those tick marks tell me how to match them up. The one tick marks are the same. The ones with two tick marks are the same. And this is called the length. And this is called the width. And remember, I can rotate this thing. Let me try this. And it doesn't change anything. Doesn't matter how you turn it. Those dimensions, even if it's tiny or big, those dimensions do not change. Length and width. And this is called a rectangle. Four right angles, four sides, so it's a quadrilateral, and it has two sets of parallel sides. Lots of vocabulary in this lesson. Okay, let's go ahead and look at this one because I want you to compare these two. So what do you notice about these two shapes? Well, I know that this one is equal to this one, and that's width. I know that this one matches up to this one. That's length. And with parallelograms, instead of using the word length, you will usually see the word base, but those mean the same thing. The base of the parallelogram and here's the word, parallel. I'm having issues with my pen, sorry. I'm not sure what is happening. It does this sometimes. Parallelogram. That's a vocabulary word. You have a flashcard for this one. How would you measure the height of this parallelogram? Because unlike the rectangle, it's leaning. The parallelogram is leaning to its side. So if you were at the doctor and they wanted to measure your height, would they ask you to lean? They would not. They would want you to stand straight up. So to get the height of a parallelogram, you would need to know this dimension. And remember, it's not really there, so I'm going to make it be a dashed line. It's just there for reference. This is the height of the parallelogram. And if you notice, there's one of those 90-degree angles in there. The height of the parallelogram, I'm going to have to figure this out, guys. This is not okay for it to just draw lines in there. I'm sure it has something to do with me resting my hand on the screen. Okay, so this is your 90-degree height for the parallelogram. So parallelograms have bases, widths, and heights. They're quadrilaterals because they have 4 sides and 4 angles. Their angles are not 90 degrees. They're leaning. If you have 90 degrees, you're not leaning at all. So I call this one a leaning rectangle. It's just a rectangle that I walked up to and I pushed it off balance. So it's a leaning rectangle. It's a rectangle that's been drinking. It can't stand up straight. Okay, this one I'm going to take, we've already talked about this fella, but let's move him. I'm just going to delete it for now. Here is a leaning square. So much like the leaning rectangle. Ooh, no. What have I done to my parallelogram, or my trapezoid? Let's pull him down here. Here is the leaning square, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so I can draw in it. This is the leaning square, so it's a square that I've pushed to the side. It does not have right angles, but it does have 4 angles, and all of its sides are the same because it's a leaning square. This one is called a rhombus. A rhombus. It's the same concept as a parallelogram, but it's called a rhombus, and that is your vocabulary word. If you wanted the height of the rhombus, you would need to measure it not leaning. You would need to measure it in a straight line. So we would come right down through here, because whenever you measure height, you want a 90-degree angle. This would be the height of the rhombus. And remember, that's an imaginary line that I drew, so let's make it dashed, because I drew that in there. And these are called sides. This is a side of the rhombus. Okay. And then this last one, we had a glimpse of this one in the 2-dimensional shapes. All of these, by the way, are 2-dimensional because they're flat. Do you remember what this one is called? Let me put this in there and see if this helps you. Base 1, or that could be base 2. It doesn't matter. One of them's 1 and one of them's 2, and you get to pick. And in this one, remember the height would be a straight line measurement, and that's imaginary. So let's put in the dashed line to show that it's imaginary, but that's the height. Whatever that amount would be is the height of this shape. This would be the width. I know what's happening with I figured it out. I'm not sure how to fix it, but okay. This is a width. It could also be called a side. This would be a width as well. 4 sides, 4 angles. None of them are right angles. Remember, the right angle right here I drew in, so it's imaginary. None of them are right angles, but there are 4 sides, so this would be a quadrilateral, and its name is a trapezoid. So a trapezoid is in the quadrilateral family. Any shape with 4 sides is a quadrilateral.